Now, real quick here, I'm going to have, and again, you'll have a chart of this, but we're going to talk about the 12-bar blues, okay? 12-bar means 12 measure, okay? 12 measures. So what happens here is we're dealing with, I'm playing in the key of A right now, so what happens is I'm going to give you the schematic of a 12-bar blues, and then you'll be able to look at it in your chart. But basically what happens is the first 4 measures, the second 4 measures, and the third 4 measures are 3 different pieces of this blues puzzle. The first part is going to be the 1 chord 4 times in a row, okay? So A, for instance. The second part is going to introduce the 4 chord, which is going to go 4, 4, 1, 1, which in this case would be D, D, A. And then the last section, the last 4 measures is what we refer to as the turnaround. That part is going to go 5, 4, 1, 5. 5, 4, 1, 5, okay? So the last part introduces the 5 chord, and this is the way it's going to sound. Second measure, third measure, fourth measure, here it comes, 4 chord. Twice, then I go back to the 1 chord. Here comes my 5, and then my 4, then my 1, then back to my 5, and then it starts all over again, you see? So that's a 12-bar blues. Now, the 12-bar blues can be altered. You know, sometimes you might play 1, 4, 1, 1. At the end, you might play 5, 4, 1, 1 instead of 5, 4, 1, 5. But for the general sense, that's what the chord progression is going to be. And so my job is to start trying to target some of those pitches, okay? I'm going to start chord chasing those roots around a little bit. Okay, so what I want you to see here is I'm going to take a progression here. This one's actually in the key of G, I believe. So I'm going to just, very basic, I'm going to let you listen to me play over the top of this. So here goes my 1. Now here comes my 4. Back to my 1. There's a 1 right there too. Here comes my 4 now. Here comes my 1. Little lick. Here comes my 5. Here comes 4. Back to the 1. 4 chord, or excuse me, the 5 chord, here it comes. Now I start all over again. There's my 4 chord. 1. See? So again, that's enough of that, but it gives you the idea. So I start having a purpose to my visualization. I'm visualizing G minor pentatonic. But now all of a sudden, I'm listening, for the first time, I'm listening to that chord progression, and I'm responding, still with logic. I'm not just going totally inward yet, but I'm responding with logic. Over that 1 chord, I'm going to look for some Gs. Over that 4 chord, I'm going to look for some Cs. Over that 5 chord, I'm going to look for some Ds. But I need to know when they're occurring. I need to memorize that 12-bar blues to know when they're happening, and I need to be listening to the music that I'm playing over, okay? So this is really important for you to understand is listening to the chord progression that you're playing over, whether it's a blues progression, a pop progression, a rock progression, it doesn't make any difference. What makes blues so unique, and the reason why we start there all the time, is because when I say blues, the first thing that pops into most musicians' head is 12 measures and the 1, 4, 5. When I say rock, rock means a million things to different people. Rock is Aerosmith, and even Aerosmith doesn't do the same thing over and over and over. You know what I mean? Where when we talk about, like, if you go back to an early Chuck Berry record, almost every song is a 12-bar blues progression. It just might be in B flat, and the next one might be in G, and the next one might be in A. For whatever reason, he's playing in different keys, but the progression itself is pretty much the same. So blues is a great introduction to learning how to solo because you can anticipate the changes easier. Where when I say solo over, Walk This Way by Aerosmith, that's a lot of different things. I mean, there's not a certain progression that you're going to play over, and then the beginning is different than the end and all kinds of different things. So what I want you to start thinking about here is now you've got this palette of pentatonic, okay? And now we've started adding in chords. We can see the 6 essential chords on the guitar in whatever key we're going to be in, okay? And we're starting to emphasize roots now. We're starting to follow roots around. Now, again, this is all going to play out as we keep going, but I don't have to go to the root on the beat 1. I don't know when I have to go to the root. Do I have to follow the roots every time? No. I mean, sometimes I might just be playing and I go into a lick or an idea and maybe I keep repeating something. Watch this. Let's say I kept going here and I went, instead of following the chords, I start doing this. Something, whatever, right? I'm just kind of freaking out there. All of a sudden, I'm avoiding the roots because I'm in a moment and I'm doing something, right? Right there, I'm using licks and I'm using patterns to create some tension and some aggression. But when I come out of that again, I'm going to want to go back into something that is musical again, okay? So completely negating the fact that the chords are changing underneath you and not paying attention to those chords is the worst thing that you could possibly do. That doesn't mean you have to do it all the time. That's the trick, is learning how to master when to move in and out of these layers that I just spoke of. All of these different things that you're going to start learning about. When do I do this? And when should I go here? And how do I go here? But the first thing is to identify them and know that they exist. If you don't know they exist, you're not going to use them anyway, right? So let's keep going here. I know it's a lot to think about, and we're going to keep going, and you can ask questions. We got lots of stuff to be going on in the future here.